This is episode 63, where we discuss living in Netherlands and USA, rugby, law such as the death penalty, Heard vs Depp, and modelling. Hope you enjoy the episode.
I forget what even number we're on. We're on episode 63. Welcome, guys.
Almost retirement age.
Almost there.
We're not allowed to retire 63 now, not anymore.
Oh, don't
78.
start.
Oh, it's moved up. It's like
Our
67 or some
podcasts
shit.
get fuel payments.
Anyway,
78 now.
this episode we have a special guest with us today. It's do you prefer Livia, Liv?
Liv is fine.
What's your preference? Liv. So we have Liv with us today. I met Liv. Did I meet you in 2019, or was it the more? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, 2019. So with the guest from last week, Saoirse, I met Liv the same time at Cheshire Fashion Week. Who was modelling for? I think the first one you were doing was the wedding dress.
Yeah, that was the peak of my
it.
Single life, being put in a wedding dress, and I was like, this is the only time I'll be wearing one of these.
I never think about it that way. That must be like really kind of like cool and frustrating at the same time if you're into that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it was a really nice dress, but there was that just thinking in the back of my head, like, wow, this is cool.
No, that's cool.
It's like don't meet your heroes, but in fabric form.
Literally, yeah.
But yeah, so I worked with Liv for a few years. Like, well, one day every few years. We did a few.
Isn't
together.
she lucky?
Huh?
Isn't she lucky? We have to do it one day every week.
Yeah, fair enough, guys. But yeah, that was great. And the last one we did. Well, you've done another one since then, haven't you?
I've done all of them, bar the one that was in COVID, obviously, when COVID was happening. But
I stopped doing it last year.
Yeah.
And you do you did, didn't you?
I did last year.
I did. Yeah, because I saw your outfit, and it was a really good outfit. Because you never get to choose what outfits you wear, so they can be hit and miss.
Yeah.
They can be cool or wacky, so you never know what you're going to get.
You've always
Wait, is this like? Sorry to interrupt. Is this like a kind of like modelling event festival thing for people dressed in wedding dresses?
Not wedding dresses specifically. It's basically like, London Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week, loads of designers. But usually every year there is a bridal one. Luckily, I've not had to do those the last couple of years. But you basically turn up and you're assigned a designer, and then you wear the things down the catwalk.
That's cool.
I did wonder, how does it actually work? Does a designer pick you, or do you put your name down for a designer?
I'm not actually that sure. You just submit all of your details, like your height, your dress size, your shoe size, all of that, and a headshot. And I think it's between Claire, the organizer, and the designers. I think she'll send a few and they'll say, yes, I want X, Y, Z, or she'll just assign us to them. It's hit and miss. Sometimes you can turn up and you just have one designer. The other times you turn up and you've got like 5, and it's like, so I don't know.
They pull your name off like a bowler hat.
Well, I suppose they've only got they're not catering all the outfits for all people's heights and sizes, are they? They've got what they've got, and they need to fit the person for the dress, don't they?
Yeah.
But yeah, I always really enjoyed them. I went off them recently. Just because from the photographer's point of view, it's a hell of a lot of work and aftercare, and you don't get anything for it. Yeah. Whereas you guys at least get some exposure and have a fun day out.
I don't do any other modelling except for that. It's just something I do once a year because why not? So for me, I just rock up and I'm like, oh, cool photos. But yeah, for the others, at least they get some like portfolio photos out of it. But
it's good fun. It's good fun though, isn't it? Generally.
Yeah.
And that was that. I think I hung out with you probably the most last time I did it. It was last summer, just because I think I was fed up with taking so many photos. I hung out with you at the top of the stairs for ages.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was good fun. But also, I'm going to have to cut things if I say things too stupid here. We're not going to dance around the subject. But I was really interested because we spoke so many times, but it's just like normal chat and about modeling, photography, that sort of stuff, and normal things. And then as soon as I asked any normal question that was outside of that realm, that's the thing when you're speaking to people, you don't know much about their background. And I don't always probe people much. I always just take on face value. Like, what did you watch recently? What films you like? That sort of stuff. I don't care about how you're brought up usually.
You get in trouble for probing people, Kev, especially this day and age.
But then Liv told me that she was, I saw on her Instagram, she was throwing the hat in the air, you passed your university degree and stuff. I was like, what did you do?
Well,
this is your point to us in yours.
It was another modelling shoot.
Not this.
For graduations.
Yeah, but actually that was my second graduation, the one that you saw. So my first degree, I studied in Maastricht University, which is in the Netherlands. And I have a degree in European law. And then as part of that, I also studied in America. So part of it I spent in the US. So that was really cool. But then when I moved back to the UK, which was unintentional, but COVID, so had to, I got a job in the government, but I was like, I really want to carry on my law. But the law in the UK is if you have a law degree outside of the UK, it's an equivalent to a non-law degree. So whilst working, I also had to do part-time study to convert my European law degree into a UK law degree. So the video you saw is me throwing my hat for the second time. So I have 2 law degrees.
That's impressive. And before Kev pipes in this one, speaking about law, we've got a bit of a running gag on this at the moment that Drew looks like a different character every week. And this week, because you got a slight blur on your screen, you keep looking off. I keep feeling you're looking for a prison guard to come and seize your phone, or looking at your bunk mate up the top bunk, and you're streaming in from HMP Belmarsh or something. I know we're looking very similar backgrounds and that, but you look like a prisoner.
Yeah, but I've got
100%. Like you've got a burner phone.
Yeah, but I've got a depth of field in my one because there's a different color going back there, so it gives me a little bit more character.
You look like such a prisoner.
That's because I'm ill. I'm sweating. I've been living out of a suitcase for 3 weeks. Like I feel like a prisoner. I feel like a prisoner.
Are they being kind to you, Drew? Are they treating you well?
A prisoner of traveling, Maybe that's what I am. I feel like
Have you been told to say this?
Maybe I did some bad things and now I'm paying the karma for it, But I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to, be listening to Liv's, life and stories.
I sound like a hostage.
I mean, I can't believe I didn't know that you were like in, whereabouts were you? In Holland, did you say?
Yeah. So in a place called Maastricht, which is in the very south of the Netherlands. It's a fun fact where the European Union was formed, if you want to know.
Right. Is it true they put butter on chips there? Or is that just a rumor?
No. I didn't experience that. It's mayonnaise all over.
Mayonnaise is great though. Like I thought it was, I thought it was butter. But yeah.
In Germany, they cover their chips with paprika, Drew, if that helps you.
Look, people think that sounds weird. Like, why would you put butter on chips, right? But you put butter in mashed potato. You put butter on jacket potato. And guess what? Chips are part of the potato family because they're made for potato.
Yeah, but they're not made to be creamy and smashed. That's when it's called mashed potato.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm just saying you could dip a chip in butter and it's all gravy.
Oh.
See, Liv might have thought we're having like some serious conversation at any point, but it's never going to happen. Just to preface that, in case you've never listened to a single episode and you thought you're going to get a proper interview of some sort. It's
next week. The three of us bring some chips in on our thing and some butter, and let's all see how disgusting we feel when we dip a chip in butter. I think I'm going to have some sort of aneurysm.
I wouldn't think of doing that, but then you do put butter on your potato, like your new potatoes.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you don't eat the potato with butter on it. You let it melt and it just glistens over it, and then you eat it.
Yeah, but it's still have a butter on a chip. But if it was melted butter, you could probably.
But it still tastes of butter, right? Just imagine there was like slightly warm butter in a bottle, and you squeeze it over your chips as opposed to mayonnaise.
That sounds grim.
I don't want to think about warm
bottled butter.
Okay, maybe not warm butter. I just meant if it's hard, it's not going to come out as well. But it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
Is anyone here been to Holland? Well, Netherlands.
Yeah, I used to live right by there. I've been there loads of times.
Where did? Oh, you were in Germany, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. I lived like 2 hours away.
I
heard of Maastricht before. I lived near a place called, I think it was Enschede or something. I can't remember. I can't really remember what it was called, but it was cool. I like the Dutch. They're really nice people.
Yeah, I was sad to leave, and I love how direct they are. It's like a breath of fresh air.
Did you go to Amsterdam by any chance? That's the only place I've been.
That is.
Yeah. I've been several times. It's a nice city. It's very historical. There's lots to do, but I couldn't live there. It's so crowded, like so crowded.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a tourist spot.
I almost got killed twice when I was in Amsterdam because of the cyclists.
You need to pay them, Drew.
I
So
thought
you
that
have
was
to
going to be
pay
a-
them afterwards.
I thought it was going to be a
No.
more serious.
They
thing there.
they were gonna knock us over, man. Like every time you hear a ring, like a bell, it's because they like move out of the way, and it's like cyclists have the right of way in every way in Amsterdam.
Yeah, but
I was
there's
told.
probably an unwritten rule that you're meant to stand on one side and you weren't, but you wouldn't know that because you're a tourist.
But maybe I was a little bit, a bit under the influence of, say, a certain thing, and maybe I didn't realize what side was what, and then I could just hear bells, and then it was all a problem after that. And I was
Drew
like,
was seeing dragons flying from the sky and all sorts.
and I was like, I'm up on the back of somebody's bike by accident, and then just get taken off into the distance and not know why I'm on this bike, basically.
Drew's there for 25 minutes having an argument with a bush.
My parents moved to Mönchengladbach in Germany.
Classic German town.
Yeah, it's a weird sounding place. It's
I'm
like
saying that after 3 beers.
Mönchengladbach. But
It's an army place, isn't it?
It's like it's an army place. My mum worked for the MOD, but it's like an hour from the two main German cities. So when I visited them, I
Like
took the
Hanover
train
or
to
somewhere.
Amsterdam for a weekend.
Munich,
Yeah, maybe that one. I don't know.
Cologne. It's more
Possibly
than
that
two
one
big
as well.
cities.
Yeah, I was going to say there were like Berlin, Munich, Hanover.
Yeah, Berlin, big
It was
one.
definitely two of those. So that's for sure.
Dortmund,
Do you say Munchin Goblins? Munchin what?
Gladbach,
Mönchengladbach.
like
Mönchengladbach.
happy bag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it had like a lot of bees, a lot of silent bees in the German language.
Well, the best thing we did, I went there with my girlfriend at the time, and the funniest thing is like when you go to all these places in Germany and Holland, is I wish I thought of an example before I started talking, but all the funny names for stuff. Like we went, there was a there's a little village square in Amsterdam, and there was a restaurant that looked like a posh Italian-y place, and it was called Fucker. That was the name of the restaurant, Fucker. Or was that in Germany? It was somewhere over there. I don't know what that means, but it was called Fucker. And they have the fuck word means something completely different over there. But even like their sweets were called, I can't say that's too PC for that.
Kev, can you not remember we went to Andorra and the supermarkets were called Super Meerkats?
Yeah,
That tickled me, that did.
yeah, that was hilarious. I love that.
In Holland, like you get a sachet of sugar when you order a coffee. It would say sucre daddy on it.
Super
Nice.
Oh,
So
sucre daddy.
which means sugar. So it's like sugar daddy on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Nice.
was like, well, this is just sugar, but girls can dream.
Run it by my sugar daddy.
Yeah. But yeah,
So-
we had a lot
so
of
what?
moments like that with words where I was like,
There is a German treat that's like pretzel sticks, and the company that makes them is called Legendary Smack. Which I think is just a great name for a business.
That is brilliant.
Legendary snack. I did see
in Germany though, they had like massive breakfasts, if I recall correctly. We went to Germany once with when I was at drama school, and like the breakfasts were just humongous. Like even when you ordered one,
Big sausages.
it felt maybe there were sausages as well, but I mean like there was like 3 plates stacked, and that was just for one person that had like yogurts and different things going on. And I was like I didn't order a banquet, I ordered one breakfast, and they're like I was like, wow.
Go get yourself some schnitzel, some bratwurst, some
I
bratwurst,
was like, you guys eat good.
buns.
And then when it came to a beer in the evening,
it's a
it was
slime.
like it was
Stein.
like
Stein.
yeah, it's like, is it like 1.5 pints or like
I
2
think it's
pints?
2 pints. 2
Yeah.
pinter, I think. Stein.
So when you're carrying it and you're like, whoa, these are big and crazy. Yeah.
My mate, random story, I can't remember which one it was. I remember seeing a picture of him once. He went over to Cologne for the beer festival, which is one of the main places, and he met Arnold Schwarzenegger there drinking beer. So he's got a picture of him and Arnold Schwarzenegger wearing lederhosens with like these steins of beer.
what
He's
the
also
hell?
the same person, that has a picture of him and Mario Balotelli at Auschwitz. So they're like happy, and then like Auschwitz in the background, because the Italian national team happened to be visiting when he went there. It's like the most awkward photo I've ever seen.
Do you reckon he handed him his
Mario?
beers?
I was like, why couldn't you just turn around and have like nothing as a background?
Who's
It's like, yeah, I didn't think it out of time. But
like,
Do you reckon he handed them those massive beers and went, I'll be back, as he like sodded up?
nah, he would have drunk them all. He's an animal, wasn't he?
were
Yeah,
you
true.
waiting a full 60 seconds to say that?
Maybe.
He wrote that last night. He was up all night writing that one.
Yeah, that was the link. Well, no, he just introduced Arnold
I
Schwarzenegger.
generally don't think anyone should be allowed to take a selfie at Auschwitz. That should be an
I
unwritten
get
rule.
creeped out when people, like, someone come back up the other day and they had loads of pictures there. I was like, oh, I don't really think you should be able to take pictures there, really.
Yeah, full stop. Would you
No,
wanna take
I
a
was like,
photo?
ugh.
Can I just briefly talk about your background, James? You look like you've got some interesting stockings behind you. Like, are you doing a little bit of cross-dressing on this?
What are you
Oh,
on about?
this.
Yeah.
We've
Oh,
been
I
to this
don't-
loads.
I don't
That's
have
my
the
golf
image
club.
wide.
It's a golf club.
Okay, fair. It looked like stockings from here, man. I don't know. Was it just me?
Stockings. How stiff would they have to be just like that? They're not like stalagmites.
Yeah, but you might have worn them and they got all a bit, and they're just drying out. It's
What do
hot.
you think it is? A Rocky
Well,
Horror Picture Show?
If we're talking about backgrounds, it looks like there's a peeping Tom behind Liv, but I've realised it's
It's her reflection.
just your silhouette.
Yeah, it did look-
my mirror. Yeah. I was
It
like,
was
what?
quite scary. It was a bit like, oh God, what's that horror film where they turn their
Angels.
backs on each other? The Blair Witch.
Oh,
You know, like
I
where
would
they.
not have got that if you just said that in a million
No,
years.
but-
That
I know you
film
mean
when
they
they turn their
stand in
back
the
on each
corner.
other. No.
No, because they have to look in the corner, don't they? Like,
I
haven't seen
immediately
that film
just
for
thought
so
of Doctor
long.
Who with those like statues that if you turn your back on them, they'd be like right behind you.
oh, that was scary.
That
Yeah,
creeped me out.
They're like gargoyles. Weren't they like
Yeah.
gargoyles?
They
Yeah.
were like angel statues or something in graveyards or on the side of cathedrals. Haunted me for years.
I read that they were getting a new Doctor Who.
They've already got one.
Yeah.
That sucks because I really like the guy from Sex Education. He's really
Oh,
funny
no,
as
that's-
Doctor Who.
that's
new
the
one.
new one.
That is the new one.
Yeah, I heard they were getting a new one on top of him. Not on top of him,
Top of
but
him.
Yeah,
a new one. I think they're
different
getting
kind of
another
Which
lady
way?
one or something. Because he's really good.
On top of you. Hey.
I don't really. I only watch it like Christmas.
Here's a
but,
quiz
like,
for you, James. Can you pronounce his name?
I don't even know his name. Let alone pronounce it.
His
Ooh.
name's Shooty Natwa, but if you look
Shooting
at it,
at what?
his first name's Shooty, but
Shooty.
it's like got all the consonants. There's
I'll
like
be honest with you, Kev. I see someone's name and I think mispronouncing it would be rude. I just don't even bother learning it.
yeah.
I just say the dude from that program.
Did everyone watch Sex Education?
Yeah, loved it. Why has a new series not come out?
Finished.
I was so surprised that I liked it because it looked like
It's a shame, though.
it looked like a modern day from the
American
trailer,
Pie.
like American Pie that was going to be really misogynistic. It was going to be really like boy humor and shit. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, this is.
Do you know what I thought was really clever
Brilliant.
about it? It was kind of set in its own space,
Yeah.
its own universe. Because when you first watch it, you're like, oh, this is in the 60s or 70s. They're all wearing Letterman's, quite old school clothes. And they whip out an iPhone.
Yeah.
And it's like in a very American style school. And then they're like on the lakes of like Wales or something.
Yeah,
And you
I was
never
gonna say,
really,
Wales.
never really touch on where they are and what year they're in.
Yeah.
That was deliberate, apparently.
It's very clever.
It's
And
in their
Because
own.
I thought it was really old, and then they started whipping out phones and stuff.
It's
It was
like a
Brought
time-
Gillian Anderson back to us as well because
Yeah, it's a time capsule. Yeah.
it was clever, wasn't it? Very American. Was it in America? Was it in England? Was it Wales? Where was it? Like, what year was it in? It was really clever,
Yeah.
I thought.
It's a sexual time capsule.
It was just hilarious as well. You dirty
It
pig.
was really good.
It was really well done.
Whereabouts did you move to in America then when you left?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, if you're ready for
Netherlands.
this, the most beautiful place on earth, please censor sarcasm, Cleveland.
Cleveland. Ohio.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ohio. Oh, yeah.
Wait, isn't Cleveland a character from Family Guy?
Yeah, Cleveland
Correct,
Brown.
That's
Okay.
like proper middle America, right?
Because the football team's called the Cleveland Browns.
Basketball teams, Cleveland Cavaliers.
It is. I
LeBron
moved
back in
in
the
the
day.
month that LeBron James left. I went to the LA Lakers. So that's
James
No.
loves a bit of LA Lakers.
yeah. I do have a Cavalier with LeBron James on the back. I don't know where it is, but I've got it somewhere. But yeah, moved to Cleveland. You don't need to go there because there is nothing there except the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, if that floats your boat. It wasn't my top choice. My top choice was Australia, but I got America. I was like, why not? The amount of free drinks I got purely because I was British was unmatched. So it was a
Oh,
fantastic
amazing.
6 months. But yeah,
I
it was
bet.
freezing
I'm gonna book some
cold.
tickets.
So
I
it's
don't
true
think
that
it
you
worked.
love the
Yeah,
British accent then.
James, I don't think it
Yeah.
worked on you. I don't think it
Well,
was just the British thing.
it was. I remember this story. I walked into one of the bars just with my housemates, and I heard somebody go, "Oh, that's a really nice top," and they were talking about me. So I turned around and I was like, "Oh, thank you very much." And they all just kind of looked at me like, "You sound different." And they were like, "Are you British?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am from England." And it was at the time when the finale of Game of Thrones came out. And so one of them just looked at me and went, "I have a really strange request. But could you say King of the North, please?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. Do you want me to say it in my own accent or put on the accent of like Jon Snow?" And they were like, your accent's fine. So I just stood there and went, "King of the North." And they all stood up and they were like, "Drinks are on us all night." And I was like, "Okay." Yeah. And I
That's
had the rest of the
amazing.
night paid for me. It was great.
What's the
Americans are very
film?
easily
Is
pleased.
it Love Actually, where at the end he gets to the guy that used to be on My Family? I can't think of his name. The really funny guy, and he ends up in America, and all them girls just like crowd around.
Yeah.
It's the
Is that it?
tall
Love
dude.
Actually? What's his name?
I know you mean, but no one knows his name. He's not a famous enough actor.
But he's hilarious, isn't he?
It's like Chris something.
But like, I'm just looking at Cleveland. Cleveland's on Lake Erie.
Mm-hmm. It was
Ah,
freezing cold. And
yeah, 'cause that's by Buffalo and Niagara Falls and shit like that.
we woke
In
up one
Detroit.
day.
Chris Marshall. Well done, Drew.
Yes. I get half a point or 5 points.
Yeah,
because I
that
got
is
half the name.
proper freezing up there.
Yeah, so university was shut for 2 days because it was minus 30 degrees.
That's not
Wow.
humanly
So we couldn't leave the
possible.
house. It was freezing cold. I wore the same pair of boots and coats for 5 months.
That's insane. The only place I want to go in America, one of my favorite band does a gig in Buffalo, and
New
it
York.
is
New York.
like, yeah, like, I mean, it's barely New York. It's on the border, like it's Niagara Falls basically, but it is always horrendous weather there. But they broke up, so I never have to go. So cool.
Oh,
I love America. The times I've been, I'd love to go. I'd love to go to each part, because each part of America is like a different country.
Yeah, it really
I
is.
went
There's different
to-
laws. There's different rules. There's like complete different accents.
I went
Like,
to
it's totally different.
I went to California. I went to Alcatraz. Saw Alcatraz. That was amazing.
I've been there.
Nice.
Salt Lake as well. Like Salt Lake. That was
Land of
Salt
the
Lake City.
Mormons.
with the dunes, and yeah, it was amazing.
Junes and Mormons.
Drew got several wives
Yeah.
when he was there.
And then
That's why
we
he's
took
in
the back
prison
route.
now.
We drove from California through like the kind of Salt Lake way. It doesn't. My geography is terrible, but to Las Vegas, it was mental.
Drew
Yeah.
on Route 66 or something.
No, it was like salt. It's called something Salt Lake. Like it's
Salt Lake City's near Vegas. It's
Yeah.
just north
Yeah.
of Vegas.
yeah, and we drove through the salt. Well, not through the salt, like over the Salt Lake, through the Salt Lakes.
I want to go in that Vegas dome. Have you seen that thing?
Yeah, it looks insane.
That massive dome.
The big
It
ball,
looks
yeah.
mad, doesn't it? The Vegas dome. You seen that, Drew? You must have seen it.
Oh yeah, the big pyramid.
No,
No.
the ball.
It's a ball.
No,
They
a ball.
The
actually-
Vegas dome, what the pyramid? Yeah, that
Oh,
famous
yeah,
dome.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
pointy thing.
Yeah.
They had the UFC in it the other day. It looked absolutely
Yeah.
incredible.
So they
Like,
wanted
it's
I
got
have
apparently a
dyslexia.
16.
I have dyslexia of shapes, so it's a thing.
Apparently the screen is like 16K or something crazy like that, and it's like a complete immersive.
So they
It looks
wanted to
amazing.
build one of them in London, near where I live now, in
Got
Stratford,
denied.
and it was nearly going through. And then they were like, "No, the light pollution is going to be way too much." But they were going to build
It
it
would
right
look
next to the
ridiculous in England.
Yeah.
Talking of crazy
That'd be too much. Yeah, that'd be too much in London.
Talking of
Yeah.
crazy structures, though, that viewing point in Brighton, you know, that weird like circular dome that looks like it's stuck on like
360, yeah.
like a traffic cone, that is going under. And I'm thinking, is somebody going to come? Like, is a whole team going to come and kind of just dismantle it, or is it just going to rust and look crap?
Well,
Just going to rust and look crap, I think.
while we're on the subject of random British
What
architecture,
a waste.
you know the weird little thing they made for the Olympics? It's now a slide, I think, that goes around.
In London?
That's being
In Stratford,
changed.
you mean,
The
around
orbit.
the red thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the Millennium Stadium,
Yeah.
not Millennium Stadium, by the Olympic
London
Stadium
Stadium.
or whatever it's called now. They're changing that into a ropes course.
Well, that's good.
Most expensive
Recycle.
slide I've ever
You
seen.
know, like high ropes where you can like bungee off it and climb up it and stuff.
Oh, I thought you were going to say monkey bars, but obviously that's way,
No,
way
you know,
higher.
like Go Ape, that sort of thing. They're
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
like that somehow in that. I don't know how.
I don't get how, because they've just built a university campus next to it, and then they've got the London Stadium in front of it. I don't know where that's going to go.
Yeah, they're definitely doing it. It's going to be a bit wacky, I think.
Maybe it's like if you've had too many drinks at college, you're like, hey, let's climb that weird thing across the way. And then it's just like a dangerous...
Well, all these football stadiums are doing that now. Like Cardiff Stadium, you can get on top of the stadium and zip line down and things. Like they're all doing it.
That's insane.
Oh, yeah,
That's
because at the
insane.
O2, you can go for a walk over the top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. At
Doesn't seem-
at Tottenham, you can like jump off like the top.
Talking that, have you seen at the O2, just before you go to the O2, you can dine up in the air. Like there's literally people
Oh, I've seen
like,
that. Yeah. Up on the
hovering
crane.
tables, and people just like just really chill, like, oh hey, hi, how you doing? Like,
Just
like
a table dangling on string.
Yeah, it's on like
pretty
a
much,
crane,
yeah.
like that. And then
And
your
the
table's
chairs.
through the middle and you're sat both sides and you're harnessed in.
And you're massively high up, and people are like, yeah, I went there for my first date. I'm like, you're literally going to shit yourself, man. Like that's not a good idea
That's
for
a
a
good
first
first
date.
date. That's a good first date.
That
to
is
be fair.
bold.
Yeah.
It's like, baby, I'm going to take you to new heights, and they're like, literally, like, boom, like this is not.
Does like the food fall off the table?
No, the table's flat.
Yeah, I know that, but gravity and wind.
Yeah, wind will
Good point,
definitely make it a problem.
Mm.
But I thought like the servers were going to be like abseiling with the plates. Whoa.
Swinging past.
Here's
Like a
your
sushi
lasagna.
bar, you have to grab it before it goes.
Yeah, here's your ratatouille. Whoa. Yeah.
Fair
Crazy.
enough.
Crazy.
Yeah, I think that big globe, the big dome thing, does work in Vegas because it's all lit up and it's in the desert. But yeah, you know you can get that in London.
Back on subject, so this law thing then.
What?
Drifted away a bit, and Drew's gone, he's had enough.
But I think that's
Drew's cellmate's just passed out.
I just had to run it past the security guard. Yeah, good. Yeah, it's cool. Okay. They'll let me carry on.
Sorry to interrupt the show. Just a reminder to say we love and appreciate you all for listening to the podcast, whether it's on Spotify, Apple, or Amazon. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, follow, as this really helps us continue to progress and improve the content and keeps us making these fun episodes for you guys. Oh, we're also on these things called Instagram and TikTok. You can follow us there too, as we share short, funny reels on the reg that you can share with friends if you like. Now, back to the mayhem.
also lives well into sport, which means I know nothing about. I keep seeing you like, what team do you actually support in rugby, or do you just support all British teams? Because I've seen you in Scotland and
So
England, I'm sure.
I get mercilessly taken the piss out of all this. So it's a bit complicated. My mum is Welsh, but she was born in New Zealand. So I have a Kiwi passport. So when the All Blacks are playing, allegiance to them. But she's Welsh, so she's during the Six Nations as Wales. But my dad is Scottish. He was born in Zambia. Zambia aren't involved in rugby, so we don't need to care about that. But he's Scottish. So from a very young age, I was told if you ever support England, you'll be kicked out of this house. So in no
Seems
way
fair.
in hell do I support England in any sport.
Wow.
Yeah,
And what would you class yourself as? English?
I would. If somebody said where are you from, I'd say I'm British.
I'd go full Zambian.
Yeah, I did have a lot of people being like, when I was younger, they were like, "Oh, where's your dad from?" I was like, "Well, he was born in Africa," and they looked at me like, "Well, why are you white?" And I'm like, you know that quote from Mean Girls. I'm like, "Well, you don't have to be black to be from Africa."
Well,
Yeah.
there's a thing called a plane.
Yeah.
Fly, move.
So
Well, my mate's the same. We went last week. We watched the you probably watched it as well. New Zealand versus Springboks.
watch it, but I know the score didn't make me happy.
Oh, we were happy. Well, I've got no interest in sport, but my mate
Kev,
my mate
outknowing
was
me on
born.
sport.
Shut up. My mate was born in Liverpool, and his family are Liverpool. His dad's Liverpudlian, but at the age of like a few months or whatever, they moved to South Africa, and that's where his mum's from. And he was brought up in South Africa, and he moved back to the UK when he was like a teenager, I think. So he's a Scouser and South African, so he's like Springboks. And we had a day, like he came up from London to come up to Chester for us to do a day in Liverpool, and we had planned this day to a T to do this all these things, and he went, "Sorry, mate, but I will literally die if I cannot see Springboks play New Zealand." I'm like,
You should have tested him
really,
out.
it can't be that important. And he was like, "No, mate,
Important.
we have to make it work." So he was going to come up for lunch, and then we're going to spend the afternoon together. So he drove up at 6 a.m. to be at my house for 9 a.m. so that we could have the whole day, and then he could watch the rugby. Like because he could not miss it for anything.
I will say the list of sports I know nothing about is a small list of a couple of sports. Rugby is one of those sports. I know nothing about rugby and cricket. I'm out.
It's just a funny shaped ball that gets thrown around.
Yeah, I went to my first cricket match
really
this year.
game.
You don't need to know anything about cricket. It's so boring.
I'm not down with any sport that breaks for lunch. I'm like, what are we doing here? Like,
Don't they have
you
little
hit a ball and
oranges?
then run 20 feet and then wait around.
They have like half an orange during a cricket break. Like everyone get your oranges, like your vitamin C.
I'm down for most sports. I'd love to go and watch the darts live. That looks like a right laugh. Like, but cricket.
This is what's really funny though, right? About just jumping onto darts, right? That you've got all these athletes, like, and they're normally like incredibly well built. They've got muscles. They're very fast. They're very athletic. And then you've got dart people.
Yep.
That just they look like they
Dart
lift
people, dart players.
dart players.
Respectful.
Sorry. They look like they just lift pints. Like pretty much that's what they do. They just got.
Who's that guy that won? Wasn't he like he looked like a 40-year-old middle-aged balding
Oh,
man? He
yeah.
was fat and he was 16.
Yeah,
or something.
Luke Littler. Yeah. He
What, and
says
he
he's
was,
like
like, 23?
16 and really he's like
No, he was
40. I don't
16,
believe
he
him.
was a child.
He's like, I'm 12. No, you're not. Like,
Jesus.
you're not 16. You're 45 years old.
And
Remember
his
Phil
girlfriend,
Fordham
like,
had the
late
long
20s or
hair,
something.
massive beard, probably weighed about 30 stone.
But don't
Phil
get me
Fordham,
wrong.
he was absolutely massive.
Wait. I'll
Don't
tell
get
you
me
what.
wrong. It's a skill.
It's kind of a skill. Well, the
No,
thing
to
is,
throw a
it's
little
very
thing
hard.
like that, to throw a little prick into the middle of the circle, like that's.
oh, you little prick.
I knew that was coming.
Of course it was. He always set you up by saying something stupid. Love you. But I must admit, right, I don't like sport, but because I watched rugby last week, after about 10 minutes, I got well into it. And I must admit, New Zealand were kicking ass for the first half of the first half. But unfortunately, apologies, Springboks did dominate 3 quarters. And that's from an impartial opinion. And what I love about watching it is that when you watch rugby, there's like a 5-foot tubby guy. There's a 6'7" hulk of a man that looks like he could be the next Calvin Klein model, and he's got bigger muscles than my entire torso. And then you got another fat guy who looks like he would just railroad the lot of them if he just ran at them. And then a little tiny guy looks like James, basically. I'm like, how is James meant to attack that guy? And the fat guy, like there's like slim build, normal size humans next to these behemoths. I just thought it
Things
was
with sports, though, you
entertaining.
you could not care less about sports, but if you catch a good game or match of something, or if you're actually there, like, did I ever take you to the football? I didn't I?
Yeah, we went to see Reading versus Newcastle.
But when you're there and it's a good game, you can't help but get into it.
Yeah, but again, I'm not into
Theatre,
it.
innit?
I get why people are passionate.
Rugby matches.
Sorry, let Liv speak.
Sorry, Liv. Yeah, I was going to say the rugby. Oh, sorry.
No, Drew, that's where you stop.
What
Drew
you
goes,
carry on?
I'll let you speak. What I was going to say, though.
With rugby, though, you can get the boring matches, but they are never as boring as football. Like, football matches, I'm sorry for all of you who are football fans, but just I could fall asleep.
It's quicker as well. It's like 2 40-minute halves, right?
Yeah.
So it feels
You can get bad football games. I will say that. And from even for some, you can watch the team you support and have a game where you're like, God, that was awful. So if someone that does it is a neutral, it must be really bad. But it's the same with most sports. Like fighting, for example, like MMA. Oh my word! Sometimes you'll watch a fight and be like, "It's the worst thing I've ever seen." They're just like, it will look like someone's rolling around and do anything, throw no punches, boring. And you watch another one, it's just like, "This is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. I need to watch more." Like it's a game of luck. Like
Yeah,
you could watch. It's the
UFC,
same as watching a
you can
film. You could
sometimes
come out of a
watch
coma, watch a
10
film,
minutes of
and
two
it's
men cuddling on the floor. It's not
it's
great.
the same with any sort of like art, though. Really, it's like you could come out of a coma, watch a movie, and it's like absolute dud. Like, I don't know, what's a bad film that came out this year?
Okay, that just sounds like Brokeback Mountain in a ring. Sorry, carry on, James.
Yeah, or you
There
could
was
come
no
out and
cowboy
watch,
hats
come out of a
involved.
coma and watch like The
I wish I
Crow and
could
be like,
put
"Oh,
you-
movies are amazing." It's like it's just luck of the draw.
Yeah.
But I was going to say rugby. Sorry, Liv.
No, I disagree. You
I was going to
have
say that.
permission to speak.
Thank you. I was just going to say that rugby has a really good ensemble thing about it. For me, I feel like football just sometimes has too many egos, whereas
Yes.
rugby
Rugby's
is
a gentleman's game.
yeah, it's a gentleman's game, and it's like you're only as good as the person that's helping you get to that point. So there's a real ensemble. There's a real
There's
kind of
too many prima donnas in football.
camaraderie. Yeah, man. And
Yeah.
there's too many kind of like
There's a lot
showboaters
of ego.
that just steal the limelight. But with rugby, you can't afford to. You can only win as a full-on team. Like every player is so important. So
The difference you get though is you don't get the same like you don't get that sort of attitude in lower league football. Like you get it in the top tier Premier League, like the highest end, because they're all getting paid millions and millions a week. So they have that mindset as they can just do whatever the hell they want. Whereas rugby players, the pay disparity between football is like it's
Like the most
night and
expensive
day.
rugby player is worth $2 million a year,
Yeah.
and that's nothing
mental.
compared to what football.
Ronaldo probably makes that a week.
Yeah,
yeah, but also rugby players aren't on TV. You don't see rugby players doing Gillette or like a Muller Rice advert. Like
I don't know. Some of the
Guinness
England guys
advert.
have
Not as
done
often.
stuff. Yeah.
So, Liv, would you prefer to watch a Wales game, a Scotland game, or a New Zealand game?
New Zealand.
probably
and what-
New Zealand, just because when you watch them play, it's like they've all got the same mind and they all know what to do. It's very slick. Scotland, though, it's
Yeah.
like the underdog, especially when they play England. It's the best day of my life. And for the past 4 matches, Scotland have beat England. And it's fantastic. Even when you sing the
The only reason Kev likes rugby because Scotland can win something.
Yeah, go across. Yes.
Wales is just funny. They're just fun to watch. I mean, at one point they were the best rugby nation, but they've got a completely brand new and quite young team at the moment, so they're not doing very well. But Scotland's coming through, except Stuart Hogg was the captain, and then he's no longer liked by them. For his own
Oh,
personal
why?
issues. Well, he left international rugby just before the World Cup, and he's probably one of the best players that they've ever had. And everyone was like, "Oh, why has he left?" And he was like, "I need to focus on my family." He then went. It then turned out that he had left his wife, and he went public with his new girlfriend 4 days after his wife had given birth to their 4th child.
Ooh.
That's how to lose a fan base.
Yeah, so he faced a lot of kind of hate online, which I
scrutiny.
don't think anybody should have. But yeah, he didn't really help himself that he left.
It's really
rugby to
difficult in
focus
these
on his family.
circumstances. Yeah, because we don't know the intricacies of it. We don't know what their relationship was before. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to judge people. But then again, like Dave Grohl recently, everyone heard about that, I presume.
No,
No idea who that is.
No?
I don't really follow like celebrity
Dave
media.
Grohl, the lead singer of Foo Fighters, the drummer from Nirvana, Dave Grohl.
Uh-huh.
He is the most likable man in rock. He is the nicest man in the world as far as the rock communities. He's got a family. He's got 2 kids. They're
What's he done?
both early 20s girls who are singers, and they're a well-rounded family.
Just tell us what he did.
Well, he didn't get caught doing anything. He put a post up on social media last week saying, I am expecting a child, and it is out of wedlock.
Yeah, what's wrong with that?
Do you know what I mean? What wedlock
With a
means?
different person.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But if him and his wife have had like a mutual split, maybe just didn't want to tell anyone about it.
No. That's
No, they're
his
still
wife's
together.
his wife. His family's his family. and now he's got to
He's
admit
had an
he's got a
affair.
new child.
And he's impregnated
that's not
another
great.
woman.
Yeah, that's not great.
Yeah, not ideal.
He's clearly done it enough to be able to create a baby as well, unless he just didn't.
Sometimes one shot's all you need.
Well, there you go. Yeah, never
Yeah.
misses.
Sorry.
His guys can swim.
Sorry. Anyway,
Yeah.
Need that in
I was
my
going
head.
to swing back to law, if that's
is
cool.
Drew frozen?
Yeah.
Is everyone frozen? Is it me?
I was just curious.
You were so curious.
No, I was curious what kind of planted the seed of you wanting to get into law. Like,
Well, my number one dream when I was a little girl, well, I had two, was one to be a detective. I'm not a detective. Two was to be an actress. And my mother basically, love her to pieces, basically said, well, you're going to be waitressing for the rest of your life, so don't go to drama school, get a degree. Yeah, I heard you say that you went to drama school. So I was like, do you know what? Okay, I will, I'll
He's
do
actually a
the
waitress
sensible
as well at the
thing.
moment.
true.
Well, there you go. My mum was right. So I
I was
like,
called Andrea. No, I'm kidding.
So for ages, I was just like, oh, what do I study? I did drama, philosophy, and classics at school in my A levels. And especially during classics, I really interested in like Roman and Greek history, and the Romans and like the Greeks came up with democracy, and the Romans were at the time the biggest empire in the world, and looking at their laws and stuff. And I was just like, oh, this is quite interesting. So I was just like, yeah, let's do law. It's a good degree. And every university I went to was like, we really like people who do drama because you'll actually be better in court because you know how to stand up in front of a crowd. But then I had a assembly at school, and it was about studying abroad, and I was like, that's quite cool. So I saw a couple of universities in Holland because it's the only place you can go that they do it in English, and came across Maastricht, and it was all in English. It's European law is the title, but it also has international law. But we studied French, German, Dutch, and British law, with a bit of American law included, international law, and the law of the European Union as well. And it cost me so little compared to what my friends paid here, so I'm very happy. And I was really interested in American law. Was wild. I remember being sat in one of my seminars, and it was counterterrorism law, big thing in America, 9/11. The tutor was like, what were we all doing during 9/11? Because you can't study law as an undergraduate in America, you can only do it as a postgraduate. But at the time I was still an undergraduate, but they didn't know that. And so they were all like, oh, I was doing this, I was doing this, I was doing this. And the professor was like, you're very quiet, Liv. And I was like, yeah, I was 3 when that happened. And they all just were like, what? Looked at me, I was like, yeah, I'm only 20. And it was just a kind of a moment where I was like, I feel so small right now. But American law is wild. Like, I did death penalty law, and at the beginning they were like, who here believes in the death penalty? Some people put their hand up. After it, I was traumatized, and the tutor was like, who still believes in it? Some people put their hand up, and I was like, get me out of this country.
Wow.
So yeah.
Wow.
But yeah,
That's
I'm
quite a journey.
interested in how like society and advances in tech and stuff can influence the law and creating the law and stuff like that.
It's really cool that you said about like drama and stuff like that, because one of the girls at my new job, she was saying that she's studying law at the moment, and we were talking about like acting and stuff like that, and I even cracked a joke and said, I said you'll make a brilliant actor then, because essentially like you have to stand in front, and you have to you have to know the kind of narrative and the story you're going down. You have to be charismatic enough to kind of win over the jury, and you've got to kind of get your case across literally. And she was saying, I didn't really think of it like that.
Person.
And then I was like, if you look at some of the, in my hopefully my humble opinion, but some of the most exciting drama kind of TVs or films out there are based in courtroom dramas, are some of the most incredibly intense and a kind of emotional journey you'll ever go on as an audience member. So I can't imagine what that would be like physically standing up there and having to do something that you know is going to actually have a different effect of whether or not this person gets away with something or they get their comeuppance if indeed they are guilty, or that stuff literally blows my mind.
Yeah, the kind of reality of it though, especially in the UK and America, because we follow the kind of, you have a jury and the barristers on each side with the wigs, especially here in the UK. They don't have that in continental Europe. They sometimes have a jury, not always. The lawyer is very involved in the investigative process, and so is the judge. There's no wigs, there's no gowns. It's people can rock up in jeans if they wanted to. And there's no kind of back and forth. It's just the evidence is laid out in front of them. So the interesting thing about the UK and the US system is it's not about the truth, but it's about who can tell a better story. And I was like, that's quite
Also as
concerning.
well, you look at countries like
just America,
Holland.
sorry. Is that...
If you look at Holland, Kev, like they're actually actively shutting down prisons
Yeah.
because of the lack of crime. And Scandinavian countries, like they had a thing a couple of years ago where they're actually closing prisons down, whereas we can't get enough prisons at the moment, can we? We're just
And
putting
America.
anyone in for anything at the moment.
Well, that's the thing. If you watch
rehabilitation is really good compared to the UK's.
Well, that's
did
what
you
we
not
need
hear,
more
just
than
to touch
prosecution,
base
isn't
quickly,
it?
Kev? Just to quickly touch base quickly on that point.
Yeah.
Did you not hear about one of the guys that got let out early the same day?
Got arrested.
Committed a crime. Like, he got let out of jail early, right? What a blessing, what a gift, brilliant. And he was like, right, let's go and do a crime. Like, instantly, was like, bang.
Some
Went out
people
and
can't
sexually
cope,
assaulted
though.
someone.
Some people can't cope. Imagine spending
Where
years
was the vetting, though, to let them out?
Listen. Imagine spending years in jail and not knowing anything but jail, and then you get put out in the real world with no support.
He was in jail for like 2 years.
He also committed a sexual assault when he got let out, so it's not like he robbed something or something like that. He clearly knew it was.
Yeah,
he was only in jail for a few years. He was an adult.
That's malicious intent, like 100%. Like
disgusting human.
Yeah, it's mad.
But that's what you were saying about the sort of American dramas and films that you watch these days, and it does seem silly that it is the best story that wins, because you can see that someone did it, but the people that not the prosecution, what's the word? Those guys do a better story, and the guy gets let off, and he's from the TV program or for the film, he did it, and then you find out he gets let away, and obviously the vice versa, innocent people get put away all the time because the other person could afford a better lawyer or a better team behind them, and it's disgraceful because it's still the UK is still innocent till proven guilty, whereas in America, if you're in court, you probably did it, and the onus is to get yourself off.
It's still about money. Whoever's got the most money can keep it going long enough that the other person runs out of money and gives up.
That's why plea deals are very big in this country and in America, probably more so in America, is they push a person to plead guilty because then it avoids them going to court, even if they are not guilty, especially if they're facing the death penalty. If you plead guilty to a crime where the punishment is death, when you plead guilty, you won't get death, but you'll get life in prison. So it's a massive.
When people go is it pro bonus? Is that the
pro
right
bono?
term?
Yeah,
pro bono, where if they, hopefully they're passionate to take the case because they want to help someone that was potentially innocent in a situation, but they don't have the funds to get themselves out of that situation based on the people they're going up against.
Yeah. That's mad.
That seems like when there's hopefully genuine people that are like, listen, I know you don't have the money, but I believe you're in the wrong and the system has completely got this wrong, and I want to help you out. Because that's the thing that they were saying, like a lot of moments. Probably a lot of people in America, or probably in lots of other prisons, unfortunately, are actually innocent. But with the whole system, and because they couldn't afford a decent lawyer, they're the ones that kind of literally have to take the rap, and they do the time for something they never ever did.
One thing I've read on that, I don't know if it's true or not, it might not be true, but before you give the pro bono people too much credit, is I've read sometimes that if a lawyer or whoever steps out of line, maybe crosses the mark a bit, that pro bono is seen as like a punishment to them.
Yeah, that is true.
So they have to
So
do
they're not
pro
earning
bono
tens
work.
of thousands of dollars, they have to do some stuff for free.
It's like
they've
So it's a bit of
crossed
karma.
the line.
Bit of karma points for being.
There
an
probably
actor.
is also some really nice people out there, though, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you just want to play devil's advocate? I see. Okay.
So Liv, is there something that's you think is better about the UK when it comes to law that you're glad you're here, or is there something terrible here that puts you off being here in that sort of world?
Well, compared to like Germany, for example, as best example, Germany's law is all codified. Even to the point there'll be mathematical equations in the law. They're very much by the book. So it's like, if you do X, you get Y. End of story. We're not the same. None of our law is technically codified. It's all in statutes or acts of parliament. But that means that, in a situation that's not black and white, you can go through the shades of grey in court. Simple thing is, if you're acting in self-defense but you kill somebody would say, well, you've committed murder, and it's like, well, you haven't, because it's in self-defense, there's no intent, XYZ. But with that, it's hard, I would say, from my perspective, and I don't work in the law at the moment, so a bit out of whack right now, is that the UK system doesn't catch up with what's happening in society as quickly as a codified law would, because they have it written down and they can just change it. Obviously, it still needs to go through the procedures. But it's harder for the UK to pass a law when the law's not written down in the same way. So you have a lot of laws that are still from like the 1600s relevant now, that you don't know about.
Is that why it's quite difficult for us to change things up and improve our policies, because it's a lot of hoops to jump through and a lot of technicalities and stuff?
Yeah. It's kind of like the UK system is called common law. So common law system is quite flexible, but then there are downsides to it being flexible, too flexible sometimes, or just there's not like a narrow path that you can go down that is clear cut. So there are pros and cons. I think, on one side of the coin, it's good in court that you can have this performance, because if it is a certain thing that's happened, you can convey that if your lawyer is good and you can speak. But on the flip side is then it can be twisted and it's not the truth, but that still wins. So yeah.
You might be able to clear this one up, Kev. Like, I obviously knew we were doing this today, so I read up on some like just general news today and looked at some newspapers and things, and the Liverpool Echo was one of the ones that came up.
They're not known for their truth telling.
No, but they did. I imagine this is true because they printed a list of people that have recently been imprisoned, and you can't really make that up, can you? With their actual names and photos, and I think that would be liable if they made that up.
Yeah, but made up is why they were there as well.
Well, one of them, there was some few nasty ones. You're like, yep, gangs, whatever. They get attacks, assaults.
I don't know where this is going. This is either going to be really funny or really serious. I don't know.
It's actually both. It's funny and serious because the whole issue at the moment is overcrowding, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say the more misdemeanors are probably more community service, fines, that sort of thing. One of the stories, and I kid you not, and do you know what, this person may have had a history, and on their last one, I don't know, but they didn't bring that up. It was a woman sentenced to 9 months in prison for stealing £40 from a pensioner's wallet. That is insane. £40. Can you imagine going to court and the judge is there? What's she steal? 40 what? 40 grand? No, £40. 2 lots of £20 notes.
She could have been a repeat offender.
I was going to say,
but for 40 quid, the cost to send her to prison, make her pay a fine. If she keeps nicking 40 quid, make her keep paying 80 quid back.
I guess so. It's like
in prison is insane.
like if you get arrested first, it's a warning. If you get a second arrest, it's a fine. If it's a third arrest, it's an arrest and you're charged. It could have been a situation where she's a serial stealer of 40 quid and the actual amount's like,
but it's like still like
Yeah,
crazy, isn't it?
James, I know what you're saying, but like that's the point I was going to make that Liv mentioned, is the fact that it sounds menial, but if she's been warned by the police and she's a well-known offender, she's got away with so much, they have to close the book at one point.
Yeah.
You know, if it's 20 quid stealing every day, it doesn't sound like a lot, but
it's going to mount up though.
Also,
it's not even the amount. Is that you've got to learn.
The press will, write what sells a story. So a headline, if you read the headline, woman sentenced to 9 months for stealing 40 quid, you're going to be like, that's ridiculous, but that's probably not.
Yeah.
Liv, I've got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, what were your thoughts on the Johnny Depp Amber Heard courtroom being broadcast as like a Netflix drama as opposed to being private?
Greatest show of all time.
I have to admit, I was obsessed with that case, and I would have it on in the background at work.
Really?
I loved it.
You lit up when he mentioned that. I thought you were going to be like, oh no.
From it being recorded, so it, from a kind of legal perspective or like technical perspective, a lot of courtrooms in America are televised. It's kind of in the public nature, and because they're two very high-profile celebrities, it's kind of the public interest can sometimes outweigh their private interests. But I think they both agreed to it. I think they thought they would both win. Which obviously wouldn't happen, but in some cases they have no control. It has to be publicized unless it's like involving a minor. Usually, all court records are public at the end of the day, unless it is a very serious crime where it's like national security. That would only be the only situation where you can't access the court records. They definitely dramatized it. I mean, the thing of her when she mentioned about a dog standing on a bee was just hilarious. But
that was crazy. Did you see that? It became a massive thing on TikTok, and then people kept adding stuff that rhymed.
But
really funny.
That was a very interesting case. I would say I was more on Johnny Depp's side than I was Amber's. But it was just a very interesting case to watch.
Who both agreed to it because I think they both thought they were going to win, because I thought Amber Heard thought, I'm going to get him because people will stick up for women who have been abused. If she was, I don't know. I didn't go into it in enough detail, so I'm not here to comment, but that was the claim, wasn't it? But he thought he knows he's not done anything, or she's done a shit in a bed. I'll get away with it. I think they're both bad.
Yeah, but the thing that I think a lot of people confused it with is it wasn't a case about whether he abused her. It wasn't a criminal case. It was a case of it was a defamation case. So he brought the case saying that you spread lies about me that destroyed my career and my character. And she did. There was evidence there to prove that she made stuff up or said that he did things when he didn't. And his rebuttal to that was, you also did horrible things to me, but I haven't gone around in the first instance saying how horrible stuff around you. So it was a defamation case, not a criminal case. So a lot of people were like, oh yeah, he's guilty of doing all those things. And I'm like, it's not, the court's not there to decide whether he's guilty. It's to decide whether she ruined his career, and she did. And he's got it all back now.
She went mental. Can we just say something? By the way, I've just looked at this thing, and we've got ITV news. This is on ITV, so a reputable news thing. Should we say now?
Don't play it. Remember, we can't really.
No, there's nothing to play.
Oh, okay.
She literally got done on 2 counts of theft, 2 times £20 notes, and the words from the court: regardless of how small they may seem, we will always take matters such as this with the utmost seriousness, and our officers will relentlessly do everything they can to get the justice you deserve. 9 months in prison for stealing £40. How much taxpayer money is that going to take? How old was
the victim?
92. That should be irrelevant. Why is that relevant?
No. It makes a big difference. If she stole 40 quid from me, who gives a fuck? If she stole 40 quid from an old age pensioner that can't pay her heating bills, that's scummy behaviour. That's precedent that she's going to do something
9 months
worse.
in prison. That's insane.
I don't care. Fuck her.
That to me says there's no issue with the prison system. If they're putting people like that in prison, that's crazy.
Yeah, but
The age of the person should be completely irrelevant because
Yeah,
that's
but
then
remember,
like
James,
taking other things into consideration.
remember, they're letting pedos out all the time, so it's fine. It weighs itself out. See,
Yeah,
it's
so
fine.
stealing 40 quid is essentially worse than being a paedophile in the UK.
My question would be: do you think it would be the same sentence if the criminal was a man?
No, you get 10 years. I don't know. Either way, it shouldn't matter if you're male or
really
female. The victim's age should not matter at all, because that's then like
Well, it should.
bias.
I disagree with that though, James, because obviously
So you're saying if that victim was 60, that person shouldn't have gone to prison?
no, but
still shouldn't.
it
What's the
still
age cutoff
seems
then?
no, but it still seems malicious intent. But it obviously depends when they stole the £40, and it could have been like they were looking after the
And
92-year-old.
what was the scenario? Was it, did she get bopped on the head in the middle of the street and nicked, or
No, she literally went in her purse and took it out.
from where? In her home?
She's a cleaner
Was she
at her
in a
house.
cafe? Was she in like
No, she's a
Starbucks?
cleaner. She's her cleaner.
Okay, yeah, but that's malicious
worse.
intent, though, man.
That's worse.
Okay, put it this way then.
She's in her home.
flip
What else
it.
did she nick that we haven't noticed?
Say I got mugged, right? And I'm 40, and the guy gets off fine.
You are 40.
Yeah, the same situation happens to a 65-year-old, identical situation, and that guy gets 5 years in prison. Why should the guy that mugged me get off just because that guy's older than me? Same exact situation. Why should
No one
age
said we
make a
should get
difference?
off from mugging you.
Yeah, but why? You're saying that if that person was younger, that woman wouldn't have gone to jail.
I tell you what. I tell you what would have happened if someone mugged me. I'd go to prison because I'd have slapped the prick.
But that's what I'm saying. The age of the victim shouldn't make a difference. The crime is the crime. If you commit murder, you commit murder. It shouldn't matter if they're 1 or 100.
I tell you what. I tell you who's being quiet right now.
But that's surely like the age is ridiculous. And to put someone in prison for 9 months over £40, think how much it costs just to go to court for 40 quid.
Yeah.
Insane. She should have been made to pay
If it's all
however much of a fine, £1,000 fine to this lady.
but if it's all
lost her
financial,
job.
if it's all financial, no one would go to prison.
But
It's not all financial, is it? But this literally
But
is
also,
financial.
James-
She nicked 40 quid. So that's the
no,
only
but she
crime.
might have been like a serial, like £40 stealer, like as the cleaner. She just
Yeah,
goes
but
around.
She might have been, but there's no record of it. Like, you can't just assume. You
It's
can't
not in
just
the
say, oh,
papers.
she's obviously done it loads.
But how did they know that it's all legit? Was there like a camera?
CCTV.
Okay, so there was a camera in the lady's house.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's
That's going to cost like
Is
probably
it-
like £100,000 in taxpayer money.
We've
Pardon?
gone
Was it a
down
hidden
a
camera, or is the cleaner just stupid?
She's probably, I think she's
Yes
just
to
stupid,
both.
actually.
Did she know she?
Or did this 92-year-old lady have like special spyware? So it was like a hidden camera inside like a cat that was stuffed like a taxidermy cat.
They wouldn't be able to use that evidence in court.
This crime was reported in January and it's just being solved. So think how much money over the last year has been spent over the sake of 40 quid.
It is mad that she's got that, and then Hugh
So now-
Edwards has got a suspended sentence.
Slap on the wrist.
Mm.
That's what I'm saying is insane. Like they're saying it's too crowded, yet they're
balance
putting
is-
like a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
The balance is mental.
Like, Kev, do you think if Drew come round your house and slipped 40 quid out your wallet, he should go to prison for 9 months if he got busted?
Don't answer that.
I'd push for 12.
But that's insane, isn't it? Like, it's just madness. I couldn't believe it. I had to like fact check it. I was like, it can't be right. And it's like insane. And they're like, oh, there's too many people in prison.
Don't worry about it. That's my advice. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But you have
Yeah,
to,
don't
because
worry
they're
about
letting out. They're
I think
letting
Kevin would
people
have said
out
it's
that are
true.
actually
You could
hurting
have just
people.
asked, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be like, what are you doing? Don't do it again. Also, this 92-hour room's a white grass, isn't she? Let's just go back to that. Grass.
Well, imagine she hasn't paid the cleaner. Imagine she's like, she owes me.
It's
She owes
not
me.
her.
Good point. We need to look deeper into this. Wait, can we get this 92-year-old
He
woman's
gets
name?
beans bonnet and he goes off on one. I'm sorry. But it's going to be the daughter or the son that's reported it.
It was the son, actually.
Yeah, because the 92-year-old's going, oh, I'm sure I had £40 in my purse. And he's gone,
She ain't got a clue,
let's
has
put a
she?
camera out, check on her.
He's gone, let's check that camera I put up there for you a few weeks
Yeah.
ago. Let's...
What camera?
Also, can we just
one
say,
with
I think the
Teddy
son might be the real thief here. Because it says the caller reported around £500 had gone missing. But only 40 was actually proven to be her. So
There you go. She's been stealing 40 quid for years. And
no, or
the
maybe the
cameras.
son nicked the other money and had her on camera, Jiffy and the rest. Who's
Suppose
this
that's a
son?
good
Let's
way
get him
for the
down.
son to get
James
away with
is
it.
out.
Yeah. The
Yeah,
son.
plot
Maybe
thickens.
James wanted to be a detective when he was younger.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Nothing would ever get solved.
James wanted to be a grown-up when he was younger. Almost there. One day. One day.
Who wants to be a
My
grown-up?
point is, real sketchy people like Hugh Edwards are allowed to walk around the street and have the internet. Yet this woman that nicked,
Yeah.
even if she nicked 500 quid, that's not a prison sentence.
Let it go, man.
This ain't
Let it
Frozen. Kev.
go, let it go.
But yeah, it's a bit skew-if, isn't it?
Cool. You got that.
So, Liv, do you have any favourite lawyer films?
That's a good one.
Ooh.
Do you like Suits?
I mean, everybody loves Suits, but when there's a guy that looks like Harvey Specter, of course you're going to like it. But
It's a handsome man.
he is a very handsome man. I actually talking about this today. So today I've been at an event about women in the area of work that I work in, and it was very interesting. But there was a whole conversation around, like, you know, we could sit here as a room full of women for ages and talk about things, about how we're going to get men involved in the conversation. And it made me think about a Netflix drama that's actually on BBC called Anatomy of a Scandal. Don't know if you've watched it.
Yes.
But it's not a true story, but since it's come out, there's been lots of similar stories that have been true. But it's about a cabinet minister who is accused of rape by his parliamentary aide. And it's the court case, but the lawyer who is the prosecutor has also had a run-in with him when she was at university. I won't spoil it because I don't want to see if you watch it. But that for me was a very interesting, not only from a legal perspective, because technically she shouldn't have taken that case because she had a conflict of interest with him. But it was quite interesting.
Is this true, sorry, or dramatised?
It's dramatised.
Is it like actual? Okay.
But since it's come out, you know, there've been lots of reports of like parliamentary aides coming forward and saying same thing happened to me, or sexual, like the MP of Chester, the old Labour one, he's no longer the MP because a sexual assault claim was brought against him by his parliamentary aide. So it's kind of like a reflection of truth, but it's not based on anybody specifically. But the cabinet minister is like best friends with the prime minister. So once it comes out, it's all about like protecting him, and his wife finds out, and it's very interesting just from like that perspective. Not a film, but a drama that is now a theatre production that's been filmed. So I saw the film, not the actual production. And people say this all differently, but Prima Facie.
Yes. Yes. Jodie Comer.
Jodie Comer, and it's a one-woman play.
Oh yeah,
That is a true story.
I thought you could say Legally Blonde.
No. But it's a story about a female criminal barrister who has spent her career defending men accused of rape and sexual assault, and then she gets sexually assaulted and raped herself. And it's how she's then realizing the law, and that hit me quite hard because I also was at a talk at university by a sexual assault and rape survivor in America she's won like insane amount of prizes for the work that she's done. She's actually got civil rights for rape victims in America, like across so many of the states. But the quote that stuck in my head, and this kind of rings true for all of those productions I've seen, is the law has a gender and that gender is not female. So watching Prima Facie, I was like, the law is written from a male perspective. It might not say he in it, but it shows you in that exactly how it's basically one word against another, and the male voice will probably win. So I highly recommend it.
Well, that's
Just
the
to bring
shocking
up
thing
something
about the thing you mentioned about earlier about like the law takes so long to be upgraded and improved, and we've still got laws from the 16th century, and obviously women in law were probably an afterthought until the 1900s.
Yeah.
In reality, weren't they? And be taken seriously, be able to vote, all that sort of stuff. But so yeah, if all those laws are old, they're catered not towards that, and like the simple thing of.
But
I watched something recently. Sorry.
I was just
What
going
were
to
you
say,
saying?
what is quite interesting, and like the flip side is that in the UK, rape can only be conducted by a man, because in the statute it
Really?
literally says penetration by a penis. So if you don't have a penis, you can't commit rape.
That's mad, isn't it?
So
That's
you
also
So
wrong.
yeah. So
two things I'll say on that. One of them is like a kind of in the news thing at the moment, more so in the States than here, I think, is do you think that women that get busted of falsely accusing men of rape should get a prison sentence of the equivalent?
not the equivalent, but I think they should face punishment because they have.
Because I think they should get the equivalent because they're willing to take
Oof.
what, I don't know, 10 years of that person's life for a
I mean,
lie.
it's
I
got
think
to be,
eye for an eye in that
again.
sense.
No. Again, it's got to be got
Blatant
to be
lie.
careful.
I'm
It's got to
talking
be
about.
someone that's trying to take down a person. If it's
Don't
a
take
myth,
down. I'm trying to put them in
saying
prison.
If somebody commits murder, should get a person who says it was them should get the same sentence as the person who actually killed another human being. Whereas that
No, because
person
that's
has
actually
the
saying it was
intent.
them. That's saying it was actually them.
The person who's committed the crime usually has and in a rape case, has the intent to commit rape. If somebody brings a false claim, there can be many factors, kind of pressure from somebody else, or they just don't like the person, whatever. But their only intent is to defame them, to put them in prison. That's not the same intent as wanting to commit rape.
I'm not. Oh, wait, no. I think I got what I was saying confused. I'm not saying. I'm saying if, say, someone serves time for it, say 5 years, and then gets acquitted because it was a lie, that then person should serve the same time.
No.
I'm not saying like pre-busted. I'm saying if they take 5 years of someone's life for any crime, actually, say they're a witness to a murder and they lied.
Yeah.
And that person got 5 years in prison. It found out because they lied, because maybe they just didn't like the person. They should also have to lose that same amount of time.
I think there's too many.
I understand
moving
the
parts
logic
to
behind
answer that
it,
black and white.
but I think it's to do with intent rather than kind of matching it, because you can't really match it because they're two separate crimes. If the person
it's like Ched Evans is a good example, the football player who was acquitted. He's basically a lower level football player, not Premier League, but it was like a Championship League One player. Served time, ruined his career, ruined his everything, and then it turned out that I can't remember what it turned out. It was all bullshit. Like none of the stories that lined up, and he'd done years in prison, and they basically acquitted him, and the person got busted for lying. I think actually admitted it in the end, and he then came out, plays lower league football now, but she didn't get any sort of like comeuppance. So I think you should have to.
But you can get arrested for perversion of the court of justice.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the ice cream wars, the Glaswegian thing?
No, I need to see that.
But
I did have
really,
a second point on that.
Well, let's not linger on that, James.
Well, no, it's just to bring you back on your thing of you were on about the death penalty, weren't you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I remember watching a documentary with what's he called? The BBC presenter that always used to go out. The
Panorama guy.
Black guy with the grey hair. I can't think of his name.
The one who does Panorama.
Ridiculously famous guy that none of us can think of right now.
Piers Morgan.
No, he's not
the black guy with the grey hair.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely not Piers Morgan.
I know who you mean.
He did a thing.
I can't remember.
He did a thing on death row, and I didn't realise that you could be on death row for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Like crazy. And one of the guys was like, "Oh, I stole some food or something in like 1942 or something ridiculous like that," and he'd been in prison for like 60 something years. It's like, I think there has to be
awful.
But no. But I'm saying is, you're talking about law not catching up with things. Shouldn't people's sentences be retroactively realigned with current time every decade, say, or 5 years?
No, because there is a very strict legal principle that I can't remember the name now. It's Latin, but it basically means that you have to be tried at the time, what the law was at the time. You can't then...
And that can't ever change.
You can't, no. So even if your crime that you committed doesn't exist, you can't
Wow.
Go back.
That's mad, isn't it?
That's like that TV series though called When They See Us, which was about the that woman that
Trevor McDonald, sorry.
Yeah,
Trevor McDonald, yeah. When a woman got raped in a park and there was 5 young black lads and
Yeah.
they were very young and they didn't have a clue about the law and everything, and then a lot of the police basically had it in for them and they tried to set up all these situations where it made it look like these are the lads, this is the one, and then that completely destroyed and ruined like all 5 of their lives. But then interestingly, when I watched the film, that one of the guys has now come out and he's created like this kind of charitable what's the word for, like, to basically help young people that are put in those kind of situations, and he's gone out of his way to make sure that never happens. And I think he started to study law and everything about the law basically, and he defends young people that have basically been misrepresented by police, judges and all that, and that's the only silver lining to that horrendous situation. But it was a very
prime example of what you were saying about America is the amount of people that are in prison, say, for cannabis, where they are now in prison for it, it's totally legal. So it's like a kind of really weird kind of, they're in prison for something that isn't illegal, but because when they did it, it was illegal. Now it's just a really strange kind of like awkward thing.
I think that's why like this topic could go on forever, because it is such an interesting topic. But if you guys get a chance to see Prima Facie or
Facie,
send me a link.
It's a Latin word, but nobody really knows how you pronounce it. Prima Facie.
It's so good. Did you see it in the
You're
cinema?
back at that German cafe.
Did you see it in the cinema?
I saw it at like a Curzon cinema here in London. So I didn't. I mean, it's sold out. It's Jodie Comer, of course. It's going to sell out.
I saw it in the cinema as well.
I saw it as a film, but what I was quite interested in is kind of the background to it, and they've now been going into schools and stuff to educate young boys on sexism and stuff, which I think is very important.
I thought it was amazing because I saw it about a year or 2 ago when it was first. It was like a live showing onto the cinemas. So when you went to the cinema, you had to be on time.
Yes.
And you had someone intro it, and it was a proper intro to it. And I think since then they've obviously recorded that and just play it again. But she's back doing it, or she's done it again recently.
It was broadcast. Sorry, it was broadcast live to the cinema. Sorry to interrupt. That's crazy.
Yeah, they do that. It's called National Theatre Live.
Yeah.
Cineworld does it all the time.
I thought they just called it live, though. I thought it was pre-recorded. They just called it live, but I didn't realise it was.
I mean, there's probably a 10-minute delay, but it's give or take live. I saw
you can't have live,
though. Like,
I saw Monty Python there live as well.
I was thinking, not only are you performing to like a massive sold out, theatre, but then you're thinking, shit, people might be watching this in different Cineworlds across the. Do you know what I mean? You're like, what?
It was packed. It's Jodie Comer. She's in million films, so she's
she's an absolute badass though. She's an absolute badass.
It's like 2 hours of her talking on her own, and at no point do your eyes blink because you cannot take a beat at any stage. It is so intense.
Does she play different characters?
No, she's herself, but things change.
Oh, okay.
I think you're thinking of the one with the woman from Succession. She did a one-woman play, and she plays those different characters.
Oh, and she plays like a multitude of characters.
Just to lighten things up a bit. I really like courtroom TV shows. I think they're really cool. And there's one that I think is one of the most underrated shows on Netflix called How to Get Away with Murder.
I love that show.
Has anyone ever?
Loved it.
It's how good is that?
Yeah.
Has everyone seen it?
Like,
isn't that the best whodunit program ever? You cannot predict it. Like, you were like, at the end, you're like, this person, you're like, nope, never.
This has been Rage Whale. Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope you had a whale of a time.